I will show you how to install Nvidia on Arch Linux. With this command we can see that currently Nvidia is in use, and with this command we can once again see that Nvidia is recognized and working. There are a lot of guides on the internet how to install Nvidia in Arch. No guide is the same. Every guide has some different explanation. I've tried to summarize everything in one guide that also follows the Arch Wiki guide. First, back up your system. You would be surprised how many ways you can break your system while installing Nvidia drivers. I have a video on using timeshift. For me, timeshift is enough to fix any mistakes I make while experimenting. Next, you would have to find the guide, Arch Wiki guide for Nvidia. And that's it. Now, from here on out, we will just be following the guide. It's quite easy, just there are a lot of cases, and for each case it's a bit different. Next, open your terminal and type lspci-k, then the pipe symbol, grep -A to -E, then quotations, VGA pipe 3D close, and then again the quotations, enter. And here you will get a lot of information. Now I see that this is my Intel CPU graphics card, but here is my actual Nvidia graphics card, and the kernel driver in use is this one. Here we want it to be Nvidia. This is our goal. But first, this is what we're looking for, which is our Nvidia GPU. Now we need to find the architecture of our GPU. Go back to the Nvidia guide and go down. You should find this Wikis code names page. Open it. Another place is to search for Nvidia GPUs list, Wikipedia page, and here you can see desktop GPUs, for example the 900 series, and here you get the architectures. Here as well you can see them here, the architecture. For example, if you're 360 Ti, you're this architecture. I'm in this family name, the 900 series. But my GPU is not listed here, and it's not listed even here. So I will search it directly in Google, and the first link for me usually works. And here I can find architecture Maxwell. From here on out, which step you take depends on how old or new your GPU card is. Go back to the guide and to installation, then the third step. For Maxwell and newer cards, you can install the Nvidia package. This is for the Linux kernel, if you use the Linux kernel. So in the installation guide, when you have done this command, if you have typed here Linux, then you're on the Linux kernel. If some people here type Linux-LTS, for example, for those people, they should install Nvidia LTS, and for all other kernels, install Nvidia-DKMS. If none of these packages works afterwards, you can try Nvidia Beta, which is an AOR package. And if you have an even newer GPU that is Turing series or newer, you can try Nvidia Open package, which I think is the open source package, which is even not fully open source, and it's not recommended to try because it's alpha quality. There are all kinds of problems. So stick with, for example, Nvidia package. For older series GPUs, it's going to be a bit harder, and you may have to do some things differently, and you may encounter some problems, so be careful. For Kepler series, you have to install this AOR package instead of all the others, and you have to look into this note. And for even older cards, then you have to go into unsupported drivers. For Fermi, you have to install this. For Tesla, you have to install this. And for even older, like this series, they're no longer packaged in Arch Linux. Before installing Nvidia, we have to upgrade the system. First, search for Arch upgrade, wiki, system maintenance, and go to upgrade the system. You have to read this before upgrading the system. It's one-time read, just to be sure what to do. For example, partial upgrades are not supported. Before I didn't know this and it was a mistake I did. You should do a full upgrade of the system, and if there is an error, it should be resolved, because it would count as a partial upgrade. So to upgrade, go into the terminal and type sudo pacman-s capital, then yu. Hit enter. And it will synchronize and upgrade everything. Yes, proceed. And it will download and install everything. It's complete. Now we need to install the appropriate package. For me, it's Nvidia. Sudo pacman-capital S Nvidia. You type your appropriate package here, for example, ALTS, etc. If it's an AOR package, the process is different than this. It's not pacman-s. And here, be sure that it also installs Nvidia utils. If not, you have to add it as well. And here I hit enter. The default option is yes. It's ready. Now to confirm, we can type sudo pacman-ui Nvidia. Here it is, it's installed, and the version that has installed, and also Nvidia utils. Nvidia utils installed. Now, one final step, we need to type sudo nano etc mkinitcpo.conf. Here, let's go down, 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 until we find hooks variable. And here, this KMS, we delete it. Control X, yes, enter. And now one final command, sudo mkinitcpio-P. Now, here be very careful. When we enter this command, if this command gives an error, this error has to be resolved, because you will have a lot of problems. This is why I asked you to make backups and to be absolutely sure what you're doing. Here, when I press enter, it will start regenerating using the Linux kernel. It's a very delicate process. We have to be very careful here. Warnings are okay. There just shouldn't be any errors. If there's an error, it has to be resolved. And image generation successful. So now, once we restart the system, we should have Nvidia. Okay, the system rebooted successfully. If we go back to the very first command from the beginning, we can see that the kernel driver in use for our GPU is Nvidia. This means everything was successful, and even we can type Nvidia-SMI, and if it shows something like this, then everything is working as expected. If not, it should say that it hasn't found Nvidia. It's some kind of an error. And even you can install sudo pacman-s Nvidia settings, for example, but I don't have a desktop environment, so I'm skipping this. And that's it. Congratulations. Now, if you're having any startup issues or something like that, for example, your Nvidia kernel module is being clouded after the display manager, For example, when you start your computer and as it boots, when it loads the screen for logging in, and after that it loads the Nvidia module, there may be some starting issues, etc. So in that case, we would want to load Nvidia as early as possible. Now, if you want this, it's a bit harder to set up and you may make some mistakes. So do it if you have to. If you don't, everything is perfect. So if you have startup issues, you would have to once again edit sudo nano etc mkinitcp io.conf. Here, this time we will edit modules inside here. We would have to type a few modules. Let me find which they were. Okay. So Nvidia lower dash mode set, then Nvidia lower dash UFVM, and then Nvidia lower dash DRM with spaces. Okay, and then Control X, Y, enter. And once again, we have to type sudo mkinitcpo-p. And here, once again, be very careful. Hit enter. And here, if you have written a module incorrectly, it will show it as an error that there wasn't found a module like that. And here it was successful. For now it works, but there are a few things we have to set up. Now it will actually load Nvidia as early as possible, but there's a slight caveat. Anytime there's a system upgrade, and I think if Nvidia or Linux has been upgraded, we have to run this command once again, but we will forget to do that. So to automate it, so that it automatically runs at the appropriate time, we can create a Pacman hook. So first we will create a file, but before that let's create a folder in etc pacman d hooks, yeah, this one, then sudo nano etc pacman d hooks, then nvidia.hook. And here you will have to type this thing. And this is what you have to type. For my case, Linux is correct, but for your case, you may have to change it if a different kernel is used, for example, Linux LTS. And that's it. So whenever there, so Control X, Y, and enter. But I have already saved it. So next time when an upgrade happens and either Nvidia or Linux has upgraded, take notice if that command has run. The sudo mk cpo-P. If this command has run. If it has run, then the hook is working correctly. If it has not run, you have to run it yourself and make changes to the hook until it starts working. So back into the guide. Here it is, the Pacman hook. You can see all kinds of notes to see for your particular case what to write. Here for early loading, you can see more information, more details, the exact models that we used, and everything else. This was just a general guide. Go through the written guide where there's much more information, and this was only for if you want to use Nvidia, but for hybrid installation it's a bit harder. There's Nvidia Optimus, etc. But this was just for the general use case.